my thing with that, is
I disagree with
I
that.
feel like today we need to focus more on black privilege. You know what I mean? I feel like we're always talking about white privilege. We have black privilege too.
But
you know what I mean?
how can you do
okay,
that
time out.
without like
What
an
did you say?
apology?
What is black privilege?
How can you
our
move
culture,
on?
our style, what everybody else wants, our hair, our look, our skin color, our melanin. That is black privilege. And I feel like we focus too much on the negatives. I feel like we have black privilege and we don't express that or show attention to that enough. I always talk about we need to know the power that we have. We need to know basically we need to understand that we run stuff. We run everything in the world, whether it's clothing line, food, music, style, culture. Everybody wants a part of that black culture. And I feel like that's black privilege.
No, we need an apology.
All right,
we
hold
need
up.
we need an apology. No,
First of
we
all,
need it because right now people don't accept what happened and where the wrong went. Like until we get to that point of like people really acknowledging like what really went down, and every party, the Africans who sold acknowledge that you sold, the buyers acknowledge that you bought. Like everybody has their part to play, and we're not gonna move on to even appreciate that black privilege until we accept and acknowledge. Right now, the narrative is nothing happened. Oh yes, slavery.
I'm gonna disagree with both of y'all because there is acknowledgement that slavery happened. No one thinks it didn't happen. Like there's evidence. You're saying that it wasn't acknowledged. Like that's no offense. I've never heard of that ever being the backing because it's literally proof of evidence that it happened. I'm not done. Now with you, Brad, when you say the word privilege, that's giving it that it's a right or it's lorded over. No, our culture is appropriated. Other people get to dabble in being black without actually being black. That's not a privilege for black folks because we can't turn it on and off. Privilege means you could turn it on and off. The reason why we make a point about white privilege because you can exercise that privilege at a given point. You can do that. There is no time where a black man or a black person in America can turn on a sort of superpower that gives them an advantage being black over other Americans. Now to your point about Kanye, that first of all, the fact that you said you agree with Kanye,
I didn't say that I agree.
I
said that what he meant.
You tried to sympathize with the idea. That's first of all, that's blasphemous, and you need to rethink a lot of things that you just said. The reason why blacks can't forgive or forget, the country doesn't give us the credit. The first, like when they comparing slavery between other groups, like those groups were enslaved for a very short amount of time. First of all, the real reason why a lot of Europeans stopped being enslaved was because it was so easy that when one of them escaped, that you couldn't tell the difference of what they looked like. That's part of history and why they broke off to Native Americans and black and Africans because there was a distinct difference. When another Anglo-Saxon or an Irish man, if they broke apart from their camp, if they stood against and lined themselves up with 10 other white Anglo-Saxon people, it's easy for them to manipulate their traits to look and blend in. So it was hard to keep track of it. That's one why they dabbed into to Africa.
You can't discount what African Americans had to do in this country to survive. It is because
I want y'all to understand that I'm not saying that slavery was a choice.
It is because they made the choice to survive that they have their descendants who are living today. If Kanye West's ancestors did not make the choice to bow down to their oppressors in a way, he would not be where he is today. And you can't discount the people who did choose to rise up and rebel and create mutinies, riots. You don't hear about the Maroons who lived in the mountains and escaped slavery.
Like speaking to the point that like as time has gone on, it's become more of a mental thing.
But it's when police shoot down,
the point of being mentally enslaved. However, that was what was done to survive. You cannot discount or disregard what the choices they made.
But what about
to
today?
Live.
Today we have so much power though, and I feel like we're not using that.
Today we are using it. You don't see all these movements we have now.
So there's a lot of things that they can't do. So now you keep going through the industrial period, you keep going through different wars. There's still a divide in the country. What they then do from there is they now provide a system where, okay, we're gonna segregate. We're going to establish segregation and Jim Crow laws. During this time, which is a very important time, black people were, this is when there was a black privilege and a black power. We've gone backwards because with segregation, blacks had to be in communities where they provided everything. There was black-owned banks, black-owned gas stations, grocery stores, farms, doctors, everything. Everything was self-sufficient to black people. That's why some black extremists believe that we actually took a major step backwards in integration. Because then when it was integrated, a lot of people had to sell those businesses because they had to submit to the greater power of the country and the country's businesses. And when you do that now, when you take it to 2019, everyone's like, oh, support black businesses, support this. Well, it's not that simple just to go black, because in some of the most black people in the world, in America, probably live in the South, right? In the Southeast. You can go there and you still can't even go live a day-to-day life where you only support black things. Right. You can't do it. When they gave reparations to the Jewish people, look about, I know it was, they called it ignorance on LeBron James' part, but he didn't feel like it was ignorant, neither did 21 Savage. Why? To say someone got that Jewish money is like, we weren't saying it to be he wasn't saying it to be derogatory. It's like, that's when I'm coming up, I watch Jewish people, some of in my neighborhood go door to door and buy real estate straight up. Like, oh, do you want this house? And they're buying it and they're keeping their company. And their little son is growing up and he's overtaking an apartment complex. I don't see too many black people being able to do that. So the fact that still there's not a pipeline of a lot of black people who can say they're doing well for themselves.
Saying that says before you can move forward, you have to acknowledge the wrong that you've done.
I'm acknowledging, like if I was white, I'm acknowledging for my ancestors who
refuses
enslaved,
to acknowledge.
Like,
the British people have refused to acknowledge that they colonized the entire world. The French people
and they're not. So what is that going to do?
It's in the books.
But if you look at the history book, how many books in the U.S. they say, oh, the white people came and they say they shook hands with the Indians and the Indians gave them the land.
Why not have an actual council?
The history books have literally erased what has happened in Kenya. When I was learning about colonialism, they say that when I was younger, they say that, oh, colonialism was good for us because white people brought modernity and Christianity. What sort of nonsense is that? Like, there's no acknowledgement for the wrong that was done so that we can really start healing. Right now, we're just putting bandages. We're putting bandages over a wound that is oozing out pus.
So you just want them to put that in history books? Is that them acknowledging?
Or a public apology? Like,
no, because in my exams, when I was writing my exams, they would have to say, what are the benefits of colonialism? There were no benefits of colonialism. How is that a question in an exam? That is a problem. We need to acknowledge that it is so sad that the colonial masters don't even see the destruction that they did, that they feel that I, as a Kenyan student writing my national exam for the British Society of Education, Cambridge, a question on that exam is, name some of the benefits of French colonial rule in Africa. There is no benefit to somebody coming off a foreign land, coming to my land and telling me from now on, your religion, your practices, the way you look is against my God, it's against everything, and you have to be who I am. There is no benefit in that. You're acting like we did not have our whole lives together, like we were uncultured. No, we were far more head thinking than you think. Who taught you how to shower and clean yourselves? The Moors, when they did their journey across the world. Where do you think you came from? You came from Africa. Come on, if anything, you should be trying to be like us.
How have we never been enslaved?
We've been colonized
is enslavement. You're coming to my country and you're taking my land, you're taking my women, we're making kids. That's enslaved.
There was slavery in the East African, Madagascar, Seychelles. There was slavery that happened on the East African coast, Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar.
The fact that Jarrell said that Africans were never enslaved, just because you were colonized doesn't mean that that's not enslavement. When you have Europeans coming to your land, your home, and taking your wives, taking your kids, building and putting their culture into your home, your land, that's enslavement. You're working for them. You don't want to, but that's the only way you can live. That's slave. That's enslavement.
I believe reparations should begin here in America with African Americans. My personal belief in that is because that, most of the people who have went through this traumatic experience or have lost family members or have, been descendants upon descendants that have went through these things are from the South. I have family that is from the South. So it's like, somewhere in that genealogy pool, somewhere in that in the ancestral pool, someone has went through some experience, whether it been through a Jim Crow era or straight slavery era, where things were pretty much black and white, and it needs to start here in America. I understand making our way out into other countries and to the continent of Africa that can very well help. But at the same time, we can't just disregard us as African Americans and just, okay, we're gonna skip over them and then go straight to Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, and I have multiple love and respect for any of those countries. We're all in this thing together, and I believe we can achieve that together. But the first things first, we got to touch us first.
If the reparations came in, people down south would get the bulk of it, and
Right.
the reason that happens is because in America, the major economy was because of slavery.
Right, correct. Capitalism.
That's what I'm saying.
Human
So
capitalism.
when we talk about reparations, as Africans, some of us here are first generation, some of us here are second. That's not our struggle.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Like it may sound
Thank you, my brother.
crazy.
Thank you, my brother.
And that's
Thank
what
you, my
she was
brother.
basically trying.
Thank you, my brother.
That is not our struggle.
I feel like Africans, opposed to African Americans, they see slavery in two different lights. African Americans here, their great grandfathers, great grandmothers were most likely slaves. A first generation African, their parents and their grandparents weren't slaves. So that experience is going to be completely different. So some Africans won't see the point in them bringing up slavery when it comes to getting over it. They'll be like, why is it something that's still bothering you? Why is it something that you're still bringing up if it happened so long ago? But they never had to go through that. They never went through. They don't have family that went through that. So that's why I said that it's different.
And there's a lot, right? There's a lot of healing that needs to be done, and discussions like this definitely need to be had because there's some people that have a lot of superiority complexes.
What do you mean about a superior complex?
So I'm gonna go into it a little bit. I'm not gonna rant, but there's a lot of Africans that have this mentality that they're better than African Americans.
Facts.
And
Facts.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Facts.
There's a superiority complex that comes in, and I think that's a problem at times. Is it their fault? Sometimes I can't blame them. Sometimes I can, because when we came here, a lot of our parents, they came here and they saw how African Americans treated them, and it was bad. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yo, we're all the same people. Why are you treating? No, but as we have advanced,
I think it's different.
As we have
Like
advanced,
like
as
she was
Africans have
explaining.
come here and become business owners and have become very educated, there's a
have to separate
pedestal,
themselves.
right? There's a pedestal that they put themselves on, and they look down on certain African Americans, like, oh, you people, you rely on welfare, you rely on this, you don't pick yourself up, and that's a problem.
I don't want no damn apology. What the hell is an apology gonna do? Seriously, and I feel like that's our problem. We're sitting down waiting for an apology. Where are we gonna get it from? I don't want it from Trump. I don't want it from Larry King. I don't want it from any white man. At this point, an apology would be insulting. So I feel like we need to take what we have. We need to take, like I said, the power that we have and push forward, make the opportunities for ourselves. You got people like Jay-Z and Diddy putting together an app that promotes black businesses. We need more people to do that. We have, like I said, black billionaires giving money to HBCUs. We need more of that. We need to stick together and move forward instead of just sitting down and waiting for a damn apology. From who?
Yeah, it's an insult. I mean, look, listen, at the end of the day, I made the analogy that if someone does you wrong 10 years ago, 2009, and they decide to pop up, March 2019 and say, hey man, what I did to you 10 years ago, my bad. it doesn't work like that. You know, I might even laugh because at that point it's hurt behind that laughter, but I might even say, wow, like you have the balls or you have the audacity to apologize for something that you've done 10 years ago. You're 9 years too late. You're 8 years too late, 7 years too late. You know, with this case, it's even more of a severity. It's, hundreds of years upon years too late. How many black leaders have died fighting for what's right, saying the very words I'm saying right here? How many people had to ride a bus and no AC and, how many people have to go through getting killed and getting mistreated and traumatic experiences for us to realize, or for them to realize, to say, hey, listen, we need to show these people a modicum of respect.
To be honest, I really think that, like he said, the apology is not going to do anything, because imagine, wait, hold on. Imagine waking up tomorrow and CNN comes on and
a grand apology to black people.
Hey, black people, we're sorry for slavery. We're sorry for what happened. What's going to happen, and please let me land. What's going to happen is, there's going to be a whole bunch of memes on social media. People are going to make jokes. People are going to go in the shade room. People are going to go on Twitter, and there's going to be jokes. What really needs to happen? I need to finish. Please let me finish. I need us to understand that what needs to happen, we need to make sure that for black people, let's make sure the prison system is not as corrupt as it is. Let's make sure that the education system is good for black people as well. Let's make sure that low income neighborhoods that are going through all types of struggles like crime, like poverty, let's make sure that they have the same chance that the white person on Fifth Avenue does. So I feel like when we think of apology, we think of just sorry. I feel like, and it's been said before, it's actions that need to be taken. We need to make sure that we need to make sure that the black community itself, we need to do some healing with each other as well. African Americans and Africans, because whether we like it or not, we are all the same people. We go outside on the street, we get stopped by the police, like she said. They're not saying, oh, well, this might be a Kenyan. I'm not going to stop these Kenyans. Like, we need to make sure that healing needs to be done. If I see you on the street, yo, you're black, I'm black. We're going to support each other and then love each other.